Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is day, and honestly, I am still emotionally recovering from Friday's episode. Grab a coffee, or maybe something stronger, because we have a massive, heartbreaking amount of drama to unpack today. So let's just dive right into it, because Friday's episode of Days of Our Lives was an absolute emotional roller coaster. And I mean that in the most exhausting way possible. Sometimes I watch this show and I just feel like I need a nap afterward, because the writers really decided to give us emotional whiplash this week. We are talking about the highest of highs with a new life coming into the world, and the absolute lowest of lows with a tragic death. And sandwiched in between all of that is DiMera just being his usual infuriating self. Honestly, I don't know how much more of EJ's smug face I can take right now. But let's start at the police station, because that whole interrogation scene was just wild. So Jada is grilling EJ. She has him in the hot seat and she is going in hard, trying to get him to crack about Lexie, about Kristen disappearing, about all the criminal stuff he's been covering up lately. And Jada is a good cop. She really is. But EJ, he's just sitting there, smug, arrogant, like he owns the entire Salem PD, because he's a lawyer and he knows exactly how to play this game. He is dodging every single question like a pro. And it is so frustrating to watch. You just want someone to finally nail this guy to the wall. What were they thinking, letting him get away with this again? Who actually believes this is going to end well for anyone? EJ always slips out of the trap. But then Gwen steps in, and this is where it gets messy. Because Gwen points out to Jada that she doesn't even have a search warrant. So that stolen letter, the one with all the evidence, it is completely inadmissible in court. It's useless. And I just threw my hands up at the screen, and because of course it is. Of course, EJ gets saved by a legal technicality. But honestly, part of me was kind of impressed with Gwen. I mean, she is looking out for herself here, making sure she doesn't get dragged down, but she totally shut Jada down. Actually, maybe I'm being too harsh on Jada. She is doing her best with a bad hand, but you get what I mean. EJ walks away clean again, and it just makes you want to scream. And while EJ is playing legal games, all hell is breaking loose at the hospital. Chanel is in labor. And you guys, this was not a normal soap opera birth where the mom sweats a little bit and then hands over a perfectly clean baby. This was terrifying. It was so hard to watch. Chanel has been in labor for a while, and it's slow, and she is in so much pain. She thought her water broke. But then Johnny looks down, and he sees blood. Just blood. And the sheer panic on Carson Boatman's face in that moment, incredible acting, but so hard to watch. You can literally see Johnny's heart stop when he realizes something is terribly wrong with his wife. So the complications are life-threatening. Chanel is bleeding. She has cancer. She has been through chemo. Her body's just going through absolute hell right now. And the worst part, she can't even have an epidural. She is just screaming in agony. And Kayla is trying to manage the chaos, but it's getting out of control. So Kayla literally has to kick Paulina and Lani out of the room. She just kicks them out because it is too dangerous. And she needs to focus on saving Chanel and the baby. Paulina is freaking out. Lani is freaking out. The whole scene is just pure chaos and panic. And I am sitting there on my couch, just holding my breath. Like, what are the writers doing? Haven't Chanel and Johnny suffered enough? And that brings me to Lani and Eli. Because while Chanel is fighting for her life in that room, Lani and Eli are stuck out in the hallway. And this was the part that really broke me, because you have to remember their history. You have to remember what Lani went through when she lost her own baby boy during childbirth. That trauma never goes away. Never. So, standing outside that door, hearing the alarms, knowing Chanel is bleeding out, it brings all that PTSD right back to the surface for Lani. She is just paralyzed by it. But Eli is there. And Eli is just the best husband. He holds her, and they have this really quiet, devastating moment where they reflect on their own tragedy. They talk about the son they lost, but they also take a second to appreciate the twins they have now. It was such a beautiful, sad scene. It felt so real. Sometimes this show gets so caught up in the crazy plots that they forget the human element. But this hallway scene, it was perfect. Just raw human emotion. They are trying so hard to stay positive for Chanel, but you can see the terror in Lani's eyes. She is terrified she is going to lose her sister the same way she lost her son. And then the baby comes. Chanel gives birth. It is a miracle. A new life begins. Johnny is crying. The baby is crying. But the celebration lasts for about 2 seconds because Chanel is not okay. She is in critical condition. The blood loss, the chemo complications, it is all just too much for her body. So we have this beautiful new baby, but the mother is hovering near death. It is the ultimate bittersweet moment. And honestly, I don't know if Chanel is going to make it. I want her to, but the show is really making it look grim. But wait, because the emotional whiplash doesn't stop there. While Chanel is fighting for her life in one part of the hospital, Lexie Carver is losing hers in another. And you guys, I bawled. I just bawled my eyes out. We all knew this was coming. The spoilers told us Nikki Crawford was leaving the show. We knew Lexie's fate was sealed. But watching it actually happen, it was gut-wrenching. Abe and Theo are just sitting by her bedside, crying, holding her hands. Lexie is trying to be strong, trying to make peace with everything before she goes. But she is fading fast. And then she just slips away. Lexie passes away. A life ends right as a new one begins down the hall. It is so poetic, but it is so cruel. Why do they keep doing this to Abe? The man has lost so much. He lost Lexie, he got her back, and now he is losing her all over again. James Reynolds acted his absolute heart out in this scene. You could feel the weight of his grief through the screen. Theo is just crushed. His mom is gone. Again, it is just a massive, gaping hole in the Carver family now. And then, because the universe just loves to kick Abe when he is down, EJ walks into the room, EJ DiMera, the man responsible for so much of this pain. He just strolls into the hospital room right after Lexie dies. And Abe loses his absolute mind. He just snaps. The grief and the anger just boil over, and Abe starts screaming at EJ, trying to physically kick him out of the room. And honestly, I don't blame Abe one bit. EJ has no right to be there. No right at all. EJ looks a little shocked, maybe even a tiny bit guilty, but it doesn't matter. Abe's rage is entirely justified. He wants EJ away from his dead wife. It was such a powerful, intense way to end the episode. So yeah, that was Friday. Just a massive, heavy, messy episode. We lost a legend in Lexie, we welcomed a new baby, and we are left hanging on Chanel's fate. I am exhausted. You are exhausted. But we will all be tuning in next week because we have to know what happens to Chanel. Let's just hope the writers give us a little bit of a break next week, right? Yeah, probably not.